And good evening. You join us for the 5th round of the Manilla cycling time trial. Tonight we're running on the 2015 UCI Worlds course in Richmond. We're going to have a quick run up through to the front of these riders. Looks like there could be some team tactics coming into play here. Quite a lot of the Manilla riders there were slowing down towards the start. We do have a 500 metre neutralised run-in where they will then approach the banner, and then the timed segment of 17.1k will go from there. Young old Newbury there, so we'll just jump right the way to the front of this event. And remember, the guy that crosses the start finish line first may not necessarily be the fastest on the road, so the timed segment will start as he crosses this banner. It's one of the NTR junior riders. We have started to get a bit of an idea of how the top 10 will shape up. And this course is going to be quite a punchy one. It's quite flat for the first half as the past two sprint segments, which, as it's a TT, we are not interested in. They'll be signified by green banners on the road. There's Zoppy there. He's been doing well throughout the weeks, always up there in the top 10. One of the female riders, Sarah Hamilton, there on a Cervelo. Holding around about 4.3 watts per kilo. Like I said, these are 1.5k into this race now. And drop back a touch and catch up with Nick Priest in his distinctive and familiar pink socks now. Nick's just approaching the 1.5k banner, and he's chosen Scott as his preferred weapon of choice for this evening. There's Cheryl Murray from Stockton Wheelers on the S-Works Shiv. The circuit this evening does complete one full lap, which is 17.1k. Young Ben White from Stockton Wheelers. This is quite a rough course. The first part of it is relatively flat. If you don't pace this correctly, it will become very painful towards the latter ends of this event. The 2015 UCI course, obviously it was Peter Sagan's first World Championship. He rode away from the main peloton on this circuit when they come round to the 23rd Street climb. So you'll see that section of the race a little bit later on. We'll have a little bit of a drop back through the field. We've got Owen Newbury there from Manilla. And then Jason Shipton again from Manilla. But looks like there's a bit of an internal battle from Manilla there. 3 riders very close together. You've got Jason Shipton, Nick Priest and Owen Newbury. Drop back to Rick King from MTS Cycles. And then Ewan Sanderson very close behind him. Just riding across these cobbled sections. There is quite a few cobbled sections within this event. Drop back a little bit further, we'll catch Dave Jeffrey from Manilla Cycling. And then Adam Brooks, team principal for Manilla. Started off quite slow. I don't know whether he's working his way through the field. With renewed vigour, and obviously you can see the yellow banner there for Adam. That means that he is the event organiser. Got that yellow beacon above his head. We'll drop back to Vanessa Cox from Manilla. And then Michael Teasdale. All the way to young Matthew Best from Manilla. One of the Manilla Youth Junior riders. And then Sophia Brooks, another one of the Manilla Youth Junior riders. So from the start list, it looks like we are a couple of the top runners potentially missing from this event. And that may change the overall standings. James Wilson from Manilla, working his way up through the field. So the sprint segment on the left there gives you an idea of where people are on the road and where they are putting in their efforts. Jay Shipton there from Manilla Cycling. Rick King from MTS Cycles. Obviously this outrun is quite relatively flat. They'll come into a bit of a descent. They'll do the 2 sprint segments before they get the long descent, and then it'll start in the lumpy up and down bits. And there's Adam Brooks in the background. You can just see this yellow banner. Some stunning camera angles that we get there. Jump back towards the front of this event. There's Marcel from Darlington Wheelers, or Darlington Cycling Club, sorry. Must have missed him on the way down. I thought we'd missed him and we were 1 short on the start, but it looks like he's made the start on his familiar psychedelic bike with wheels. Obviously the sprint jerseys don't account for much in a time trial, but it's always a bit of a morale boost. Jump to young Ben White from Stockton Wheelers. Obviously there's 2 different sprint segments that these riders have done so far, so that's why there's 2 riders with green jerseys, Marcel being one of them and Hamilton being the other. I do believe actually Sarah will be the female sprint. So around about halfway through, just coming up to halfway through the front of this this event now. Around about 7k into the event. Drop back to Rick King from MTS, averaging 4.4 watts per kilo. And if you look to the graphic on the right hand side up there, you'll see that there is 2 green little circles underneath the overall route, and you can just see that the front of the race is just approaching that second sprint section, and then they will start the descent where it's flat for a touch more, and then you've got 2 KOM sections, which are the red and white checky dots on the right hand side, before they have a long climb up to the finish. So the front of this event now is just going to make it up to the second sprint section. There's Cheryl Murray from Stockton Wheelers. Ewan Sanderson from Cleveland Wheelers. So there we've got the Broad Street section there on the left hand side, just showing up in the blue as the riders pass that segment. We'll just follow James Wilson from Manilla for a touch, see where he drops in on that Broad Street climb. Sorry, Broad Street sprint. Just crossing the green dotted line now, so he's on the sprint segment. And there's the green banner just in front. Rick King's gone through in 6th place. Ben White 2nd. Marcel's jumped into 1st. And James jumped into 10th place. Is that part of his pacing strategy? We shall find out. There's going to be a bit of an internal battle between Johnson, Wilson and Murray, I believe, from Manilla this evening, as to who's going to take the top spot for the club. Just noticing you seem to be missing Howie Murray's avatar on the event. I don't know whether he's made the start line this evening. We'll check that out towards the end and see where the results appear. These riders are now over halfway through the event. They're on the descent down, averaging 61 kilometers an hour. Ben White from Stockton Wheelers. Most of these riders riding with power or power meters or smart trainers. Not many of them using the Zwift Power. That's signified by the little lightning bolt after their watts per kilo on the right hand side in the green list. Marcel just reeling in at the people in front of him. Tends to start towards the back of the field and then slowly work his way up through everyone in front of him. We seem to be missing Matthew Cole this evening as well. Matthew has been up in the top spots for the last few weeks, but I can't see his name in the start list this evening. Drop back to James Wilson from Manilla. These riders will be starting to climb in the next minute or so. The first climb that they'll come to is the cobbled climb of Libby Hill. Anyone that remembers the World Championships will remember that climb. It was a very short, sharp S-bend with some steep sections in there. We'll pass under these buildings. Eric King from MTS on 260 watts there. Heart rate of around about 162. Just settling into his rhythm. Preparing for this next section, and this is the bit that's going to test the legs. Come along by the river and then they will turn and hit the climb. You can just see some riders on the opposite side of the carriageway heading out to do a U-turn back. Marcel has 2 riders in front of him. They seem to be averaging around about the same watts per kilo, so it'll be interesting to see what happens when we get to this climb and whether they can sustain it. They'll be making it to the top before him, or whether he will catch them on the climb. They'll get a slight reprieve, bit of a rolling downhill, and then they will hit the 23rd Street climb, which is where Peter Sagan launched his attack. Anyone that remembers the 2015 Worlds will know it was a good one for the UK or for Team GB at the time. It is the one where Lizzie Armistead, as she was at the time, took the rainbow stripes. They're now approaching the cobbled climb, and there we have it. Onto the cobbled climb, 17%. Marcel only has Ben White in front of him, and he's upped his power there from around about 4.5 watts per kilo up to 5.5. Marcel's just took the lead away from Ben White there. Will Ben try to sit with him on his wheel? There's a few nasty little ramps as they climb. It looks like young Ben's let these wheels slip there. Obviously, with these guys being in an event on time trial bikes, there won't be any drafting enabled. So it is man against machine against the clock. So there's Marcel with a time of 1:31 up that climb. So that climb on the left hand side there will give us an idea of how these riders are doing. Ben White's gone in 1:42. So these riders will get a slight little reprieve, and then they will hit the 23rd Street climb. Digging deep. Still have Marcel at the top of that list. The King of the Mountain there was 6.4%. It's only 0.6 kilometers long, but it is an interestingly steep one. Rick King from NTS. Sarah Hamilton there has taken the sprints jersey for the females and also the polka dot jersey as well. Obviously putting in a big effort and a big time for this event. 23rd Street climb is the next one to come. We'll jump back forward and catch up with Marcel. Marcel currently has the polka dot jersey for that, and he's just making his way up towards the King of the Mountains for the 23rd Street climb. A 10% gradient, but only 280 meters long. Crests that, and he will get a little descent, dropping it right back down. And then the final few kilometers are a climb up to the finish, and then it's a long, draggy finish. 1 kilometer of long, draggy finish once he makes it to the peak of the climb. Taking the descent and the free speed. .68 kilometers an hour. Around about 2.5 minutes before he finishes this event, and obviously the time that the event has been going. Looking at that there, Marcel's still top on the 23rd Street climb as well, so he currently holds both polka dot jerseys. We'll drop back through the field. James Wilson from Manilla. Well, there's Howie Murray there. I do apologise, I didn't find him earlier. He must have held right the way back at the start. And he's coming flying up in his familiar All Blacks kit. The Kiwi is making big inroads into this, coming back through the field. He ended up 9th overall there on that 23rd Street climb. Is he going to emulate Peter Sagan and take the win overall this evening? Adam Brooks from Manilla just crest the top of 23rd Street. From Stockton Wheelers. We'll jump back to the front of this event, and these riders are now on the long, draggy start finish area. Marcel just rounding the final few corners to give us an idea of the overall length. 16.2 kilometers is the overall length for this segment. On the UCI course on the left hand side there, so it will give us an overall time for Marcel when he crosses the start finish banner. As he approaches the last 100 meters, 50 meters, and crosses the line, the rainbow bands will give us a time overall of 22:35.5, closely followed by Ben White. Ben's been out front pretty much from the start of this event. Coming up with these last 50 metres now. All out, leaving it all on the road as he crosses the stripes on the floor. And it drops him into second place, 23.25. And then Hindmarsh coming across the finish. See where that time drops him, 24 minutes and 7. And Zoppy just behind him. Ewan Sanderson will be in next. James Wilson from Manilla. Not much between these riders. Time to beat is still Marcel's 22.35. James Wilson putting in a big effort to see who takes the spoils from a Manilla point of view. James's time was 23.48, third fastest on the night so far. And then we've got Johnson from Manilla just coming through. All these riders have finished now. Howie Murray coming through, see where he drops into the overall positioning. Rick King finished in 7th on 24.03. Howie Murray, a big effort, and across the line into 4th place overall with 23.31. Still Marcel on the top of the leaderboard. Adam Brooks coming in, just finishing off a sterling effort. See his golden banner above his head. On his Celeste Cervelo TT bike, crossing the line as we watch him now and see where that drops him into the overall time of things there. It dropped Adam at 24.56 into 13th place overall, just in front of Sarah Hamilton of 24.56.7. Fantastic efforts by all these riders. Cheryl Murray from Stockton Wheelers. I think we have a leader on the day of Marcel at 22.35.5. And Cheryl Murray crossing the line. Putting her in 20th with 26.21. Jason Shipton from Manilla Cycling. Dropped him in 26.32. That would drop back through. We've got Owen Newbury there. All these riders have now finished. Steve Hanna in a very pink suit, shall we say. On his Celeste Cervelo TT bike with his zip wheels. As he approaches the finish, the final 100 metres, as he passes that banner on the right now. Big effort, all out. Dropping the ride-ons, crosses the line, drops him into 26.58. You've got Nick Priest and David Grant shoulder to shoulder. David Grant just going past Nick there. Nick's suffering. Nick looks like he's suffering a lot. David crosses the line and it drops him. $27.34. back and look at Vanessa Cox from Manilla, one of the female riders in the event. Drop back to Michael Teasdale, and then Matthew Best, 4.8 watts per kilo there. I'm sure Matthew's racing in his new skin suit. Which the team have sponsored and kindly kitted out our youth section with, by our supplier from Jack Roo, UK. Phenomenal race kit. Every available item you can possibly think of that you would need as a race team, they can get made, designed and delivered to you in 2 weeks. Phenomenal. And young Sophia as well, just taking the KOM climb up the cobbles. Jump back to Michael Teasdale, just coming into his final 500 or so metres of this event. Phenomenal effort from all these riders. Next week we are hoping to be live on Facebook and YouTube, as long as I can get my technical aspect sorted out. I did try last week. Unfortunately, I had a massive technical issue and we didn't even record anything. So I do apologise for that, but we should be back next week live on Facebook and YouTube for the final round of the British Cycling Northeast presented by Manilla Time Trial Series. We'll have our winners crowned and we will know who has been our overall winner, who's been our overall veteran, female and also club. Keep your eyes peeled for the results, which will be appearing on Facebook and YouTube over the next few days. That about sums up today's event. We shall catch you next week, same time. We'll catch you then.